You've been critical of Kyle Shanahan at times, and I think
I have been.
rightfully so. I think there have been times where the national media will say Kyle Shanahan is the greatest coach who can never be criticized ever, and you'll
Right.
go, wait a second, this decision was a little weird. What do you do with Kyle Shanahan if he loses another NFC title game?
Oh my God, it would be disastrous, right? I mean, he was asked about it today by Jason Cole, and he was asked, like, are you a little, is there some lingering frustration about your losses in the past? And Kyle, like, levitated out of his seat and was really defensive, which means, like, that's still a major sticking point. And he could win the coach of the year.
Yeah.
He could get all the accolades. He could have the number one offense. It does, nothing really matters. He's got everything checked off his resume except for the big one. And he's had major collapses in the fourth quarters and second halves. So it's not just that he hasn't sealed the deal. It's that he's like fumbled at the goal line multiple times. He's like Russell Wilson throwing the interception at the goal. You know what I mean? That's him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all anyone really knows about him, except for like the diehard football purists that watch the film, or the people that are in the media that know his dad really well and are just, he's charming. He's a nice guy. I like Kyle. I've covered him he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's nice to cover. He's not, Harbaugh was tough. He's quite easy. But if he loses this game, it's gonna be like, well, there we go. It'll kind of almost like cement his legacy as being a high level loser.
You mentioned the casual fan, like I just mentioned with the national media. They look at Kyle Shanahan. He wins a ton of games. He has a very good offense. What's not to like about him? But what you just said there, Russell Wilson at the goal line, this is yet another chance to lose an NFC title game. And if it were to actually happen, he's not going to be fired. But it does kind of make you wonder, can he actually get over the hump? And that's another of one of the many underlying storylines going into this football game that I don't think a lot of people will talk about. Because, again, most NFL coaches don't go to the NFC title game once in their entire career. Most of them, they can barely even get there or even get close enough to getting there. Most franchises can't even do it. And yet the fact that you get there a bunch and they're not able to get over the hump, it kind of brings me back to Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Maybe one of the main reasons why Philly eventually moved on from one of the greatest head coaches of all time with a ton of success in Kansas City was we got tired of going to 5 NFC title games and only winning one of them. It gets a little bit old. So fascinating little understory that I think a lot of people won't realize going into this one, Eagles and 49ers.
Well, there's one more thing with him. I mean, it's been a defense-led team for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the head coach, but it's really been a defense-led team. The last 2-3 months, the offense has been prolific. But in this last game against Dallas, it wasn't. Again, they won with defense, and you're wondering, like, they lost in the Super Bowl scoring 20 points. They lost last year in the NFC Championship scoring 17 points. So it's usually the offense that kind of falls apart at the end. And Kyle gets a lot of credit for, look at how good he's doing with this backup quarterback or this quarterback who's not that talented. And it's like, yeah, man, that's great. But like, are you ever going to get the quarterback you need? Like, is Brock the guy you need? Is Lance will you ever find that guy? You've been here for a very long time. So far right now, Brock looks great. But here comes the big test. Rookies never made it this far. The same questions persist with Kyle Shanahan.